So, what's up, man? We got another video. So, we got grading the big 2026 NFL offseason trade so far by the Matthew
Over the
guys
last few
group.
days, we have seen the
Let's
NFL
see
trade
this.
market
So,
really
I actually haven't seen any of these trades. Only thing I do know is that David Montgomery is now on the Texans. But I feel like he deserves to be on the Texans because I feel like him being on the Lions, like they already got Jahmyr Gibbs. They don't really need two star running backs. But it is kind of crazy to know that they were a duo and now they'll never be on the same team.
start to heat up as
Maybe they'll be on the same team. I think the Texans is the AFC though, so I don't think they'll be able to be on the same team in the Pro Bowl. But
we are
sure.
getting into the major
Oh yeah.
part of the NFL offseason. We have seen four
They'll go up
notable
against each other
trades
though.
go down, and I want to grade these trades that we've
Let's
seen
try
so
make
far. And I think this is going to be a very exciting NFL
And I also want to
offseason.
react to the I'll probably react to it tomorrow. The NFL, like basically the mock draft.
Well, I think there's some uncertainty in
Where
the
they think these
2026 NFL draft. A lot of teams
will
have
go.
multiple
But I
first
kind of went to
rounders
react
that
to
we've
the
already
draft
seen
first,
one of
or
them
the combine
ship off
first.
one of those first rounders
So I know
for
all
a
the
former
players.
All-Pro. And that is going to be the first trade that I want to talk about. It's definitely the biggest trade that we've seen go down so far. It's not very often you see a trade that I mocked, or honestly a lot of the online NFL community mock, and that was the Trent McDuffie to the Rams trade, because it felt like Chiefs fans wanted it, Rams fans wanted it, and we actually got it. It made sense for both teams. The Rams are getting Trent McDuffie and his $13.6 million guaranteed contract in 2026, but he will be a free agent in 2027. The Chiefs are getting the 29th overall pick and the 2026 first round, which is the Rams' first round pick, but the Rams own another first rounder from the Atlanta Falcons.
So they got a first round pick already, gave away another first round pick, and then got a DB. And then the other team just got just a first round pick and another.
The Chiefs are also getting a fifth round.
I just don't see a. Well, I mean, it is guaranteed another player, but I don't know. I just feel like trading a veteran for a draft pick is kind of like crazy.
Rounder and a sixth rounder in this year's draft, as well as a 2027 third rounder. The Rams are going to have to give Trent McDuffie a new contract, which is rumored to be the highest paid in the NFL, over $30 million. Sauce Gardner is number one right now at about $30.1 million. Now, Trent McDuffie to the Rams is exactly what they needed. This is a team that lost in the NFC Championship game, and one of their big holes was the secondary. So they go out and they get a former All-Pro in Trent McDuffie, who has been one of the best corners in the NFL since he got drafted back in 2022. He's won 2 Super Bowls with the Chiefs. He was an All-Pro first team member in 2023, an All-Pro second team member in 2024. He did appear in 13 games, was banged up a little bit in 2025, but is still a standout corner. He's definitely an elite slot corner. His play drops off a little bit when you play him out wide, where he played majority of the 2025 season. Last season, Trent McDuffie for the Chiefs played 134 snaps as the slot corner and 479 snaps out wide. McDuffie last year also had 63 tackles. He had 24 pass rushes. He had a sack. He had 4 QB pressures, and he allowed 38 catches for 366 yards, which are the lowest he has allowed since his rookie season. But 8 catchers for 24 snaps out wide. McDuffie last year also had 63 tackles. He had 24 pass rushes. He had a sack. He had 4 QB pressures, and he allowed 38 catchers for 366 yards, which are the lowest he has allowed since his rookie season. But he did play less games in 2025 than he did in his All-Pro seasons in 2024 and 2023. His passer rating when targeted went up from an 83 in 2024 to a 96 in 2025. So you can definitely see the value of having Trent McDuffie in the slot a little bit more than out wide. And this is a win-now move for the Los Angeles Rams, whose window is right now. With Matthew Stafford not having that many years left, McDuffie joins a secondary group of Darius Williams, Emmanuel Forbes, Josh Wallace. So they could definitely look for an upgrade over there. McDuffie becomes that CB1. The Rams do have more cap space than a lot of other teams here in the offseason, so they're going to allocate that to Trent McDuffie going forward. And this team still has a first rounder in the first half of the first round at pick number 13 from the Atlanta Falcons from the James Pierce Jr. trade last year. So the Rams can still target, hey, another corner at number 13 if they want maybe a bigger body, somebody they can trust a little bit more out wide with McDuffie in the slot, and that could be a Mansour Delane out of LSU. That could be a Jamad McCoy out of Tennessee. Maybe they think they can get Caleb Downs or somebody like that with the 13th overall pick. But I can still see the Rams targeting a receiver or a pass catcher at 13. That could be Kenyon Sadiq. That could be Mekhi Lemon. That could be Jordan Tyson. It feels like we're not going to see Carnell Tate fall to the 13th overall selection. So I'm really intrigued to see see what Los
Darnell
Angeles ends
Taylor?
up going with.
I
And
just seen
keeping
them
that
all
first rounder is so
last
huge for them. And they
video.
add Trent McDuffie. The Chiefs are going to now have
Well,
two
not last
first
year.
rounders in the 2026 NFL draft. They have number 9, where they're
This
going
year's
to
on
probably
YouTube.
target maybe an elite pass catcher or offensive weapon like a Carnell Tate or a Jeremiah Love or maybe a Kenyon Sadiq all the way at
Jeremiah
number 9.
Love?
They could look at offensive tackle with them moving
Damn,
on
that
from
nigga got
Juwan
cooked right
Taylor.
here,
Be a
boy.
Kenyon Sadiq all the
Number
way at number
35,
9.
dude.
They could look at offensive tackle
Nigga
with
got
them
cooked
moving
like
on
shit.
from Juwan Taylor this
I mean, we
offseason.
ain't
And
just gonna
Jalen
act like
Moore
we didn't
has
see
an
that,
expiring contract, so they can maybe take one of the premier
Was that
offensive
Joe
tackles at
Flacco,
9.
dude?
But it might also be a defensive playmaker, a Ruben Bain, a David Bailey, a Caleb Downs, or somebody like
Nigga
that.
just showing
Now
all
with
the
the
highlights he
29th
got.
overall pick, they can add an edge rusher.
Shit.
They don't take one at number 9. This could be like the TJ Parker, Akeem Mesidor, or maybe Cassius
The
Howell
Mesidor,
range. They can
dude?
add a corner at number 29 or at number 9 as well, because the Chiefs still have a solid secondary, and we've seen Brett Veach sell high on these corners in the past, where he traded away with Jerry Sneed a couple off seasons ago when he was owed a contract extension to the
Sneed
Tennessee
dude.
Titans, got a nice day 2 pick out of it, and with Jerry Sneed kind of fell off after that. So
Damn.
I think they're assuming
I ain't gonna
this
lie,
is
I
going to be the
forgot about
highest
that
value
dude,
of
bro.
McDuffie's
Let me keep it
career,
smooth.
and they're going to roll with No Williams next year. They're going to hope to bring back Christian Fulton this offseason, and then maybe they'll add 1 or 2 corners as well. But I'm a little bit more excited, obviously, about the Rams side of this, just adding somebody like Trent McDuffie, and then I'm still fascinated to see what they're going to do in the first round. But I do think this is a solid trade for both teams. Like I said before, this is something that we've mocked and talked about all offseason long, and it actually happened. I'm going to give the Rams an A- for this trade and the Chiefs a B+. Obviously, I would have liked the Chiefs just to pay Trent McDuffie going forward. And once they gave Nick Bolton that extension and George Karlaftis, it kind of maybe limited the money they would spend on like a Leo Chanel, who's a free agent right now, and Trent McDuffie, who's going to be a free agent next year. But they get the 29th pick out of it. They did something similar with Tyreek Hill as well. And as long as they hit on the 29th overall pick and they get that 2027 third, this is a solid trade. So I'm going to give a B+ for the Chiefs, an A- for the Rams. I'm still a little skeptical on how the Chiefs will operate, though, because over the last year or so, I haven't really agreed with all their decisions. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that the Chiefs are going to be back in Super Bowl contention next year. They definitely need to hit on these draft picks. I like it a little bit more for Los Angeles, but I do think this is somewhat of a win-win trade right now. Still have to see what the Chiefs do with the draft capital. So another trade that we saw go down was David Montgomery getting traded from the Detroit Lions to the Houston Texans for a little bit of an expensive package. The Texans acquired David Montgomery and his $6 million contract in 2026 and his $9 million contract in 2027. The Lions are getting a 4th rounder in this year's draft. Yeah, a 4th rounder for somebody that was an RB2 on his team, a 7th rounder in this year's draft. Juice Scruggs, a former 2nd round pick, and they are obtaining $1.75 million of Montgomery's 2026 salary, which becomes fully guaranteed on March 13th. And David Montgomery is objectively a good running back.
I thought the Lions did decent, but they traded a top. This is probably the best backup running back in the league. Y'all traded the best backup running back for a damn 4th round pick, bro. Are you serious? Yeah.
And it feels like the Houston Texans just love these Iowa State Cyclones with Jalen Noel, who they drafted in the 3rd rounder last year, Jaden Higgins.
I know they already got Jahmyr Gibbs, but bro, a 4th round pick, bro. You couldn't do anything better than that. Like, you literally settled for somebody to get a star running back for a 4th round pick. And what could you possibly get from a 4th round pick that would be better than the Montgomery of David?
His teammate at Iowa State, and obviously the former Iowa State running back David Montgomery, who's objectively a good running back in this league, has been an extremely high-end RB2 or low-end RB1 for the Lions over the last 3 years. It was interesting when they picked up David Montgomery in the 2023 offseason when they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs in the 1st round. But David Montgomery was the RB1 for this team in 2023. He had over 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns. He had 12 touchdowns in 2024, and then he had 8 touchdowns in 2025. His production
you got to realize, too, the Texans got Nick Chubb still.
Gone down a little bit.
And
he's actually the healthiest he's ever been in his career in 2025. And obviously there was
going to have Nick Chubbs and Montgomery.
Dynamic duo between Sonic and Knuckles of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. But now David Montgomery is going to most likely be the bell cow in Houston for the first time since the Chicago Bears days. He's going to have that full-on RB1 workload. This probably hurts Woody Marks' chances of being the starting running back in week 1. I don't expect Nick Chubb to be back. I have no idea what's going to go on with Joe Mixon's career at all. And obviously, the Texans needed to add an upgrade at the running back position. This is a team that had a decent amount of draft capital in the 2026 class as well, so they were able to move off from some of it. I just
last
thought it
year.
was a little bit of an overpay, and maybe there was a team out there was a rumored Denver Broncos kind of trade offer for David Montgomery, where
But
a
they got
fourth
RJ
rounder for
Harvey.
Montgomery I thought was a little
Oh yeah,
expensive
that's
because they
the
gave up a seventh rounder for Joe Mixon a couple years ago. Plus, you gave up another seventh rounder in this deal, and you gave up Juice Scruggs, who honestly
wait
doesn't
a
hold much
fourth
value.
rounder.
He was the 62nd overall pick in the
Wait,
2023 draft. He did start 13
hold
games
on,
for this
wait,
team in 2024.
wait. Fourth round pick meaning like they were like the fourth to get the first round, right? Or is it the? Because I don't think there's 4 rounds in the draft, is it? Wait, what does a fourth round pick mean in the NFL draft? Bro, Siri, what does the fourth round pick mean in the NFL draft? Oh, oh shit. Wait. Oh, wait, but damn. I thought fourth round pick means like you'll go 4 rounds and then you'll pick. But then it actually kind of won't make sense because then if it was 4 rounds, then you'll be the first pick. Yeah, never mind, man. So they traded the Montgomery dude for a fourth round pick in the whole NFL. I think. I don't know.
But
Because
was
when I
a
looked on
backup
there,
for them
it
in
said the
2025.
Texans, the
Detroit
Titans,
needed to add any type of
fourth
offensive
round.
line bodies, so I don't mind that for them. I'm actually going to give Detroit an A for this
I'm gonna get
trade
kind of
and
confused
Houston a C. I do think it's a little expensive for David Montgomery, who is
Damn.
close to 30. David
They got him
Montgomery
steep.
is 28 years old. He'll be 29 in June, and I still think he can give you productive years at 29 and 30 years old. But Houston, with all this draft capital, I thought could have maybe just added a running back on day 2 or day 3. They have picks 106, 140, 166, 242. There's a lot of running backs
man.
in free agency that
And
I thought could just
I can't wait to react to the
end up
draft.
really getting
I ain't
a
gonna lie.
1-year minimum contract that would have
I'll
cost a
have my
lot
whole
less
Eagle
than
outfit
David
on.
Montgomery. They could have
Might
looked
buy
at
me an Eagle little chain. Have a jersey on. What type of hats the Eagles be wearing? Probably just a little ski, the white ski. I wanted to see if I get an Eagle ski because you know the Eagles like they have their own ski masks like the NFL teams. So like if I get sponsored by the Eagles or something, and I could wear that. What else? And yeah, I mean you only gonna see
Najee
the top
Harris. They could have
part
looked
of
at
me, you
Rico
know.
Dowdle. They could have looked
No,
at J.K.
man,
Dobbins
let's
or
not
Kenneth
flick up.
Gainwell if he's not going to be brought back by the
Draft.
Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, I'm taking David Montgomery over all of those guys, but I just feel like for what
I
you
don't know. The
gave
game
up, it was a
dude,
little
that's
bit expensive. And right now, the Houston
it
Texans
depends on the
offensive
deal.
line is kind of in flux. We're going to talk about another trade they made, a little bit of a shocking one as well. So I'm going to go C for the Houston Texans,
I got
A
a
for
C
the
on that.
Detroit Lions. We'll see who Detroit takes with this fourth
But yeah,
round
the
pick.
Lions don't
I
really
assume
need
it's
it.
going to maybe be
But
some
yeah, still it's a fourth round pick. Never mind. They
on the
won.
offensive line or the defensive line. They really need to build up the trenches throughout this draft,
Yeah,
or
they do
maybe
need to
somebody
build
in the
trenches,
secondary
bro. Them
as
niggas
well,
mess.
specifically at the
Nah, they do got
quarterback
the
position.
McNeil dude.
Just thought it was a little
54.
expensive for David Montgomery. I think David
And
Montgomery is a good player,
what's the other
and I
nigga?
do think he's a
Aiden
good
Hutchinson?
fantasy player. But in terms of what he could be utilized in Houston next year, I thought it was a
And
little
it's like
bit
they already
rich for
got
what they gave up. And the
Nick
second trade the
Duke,
Houston Texans have made over the last
the
week,
Woody
they sent
dude.
out Titus Howard, arguably their best offensive lineman, to the
Ooh.
Cleveland Browns in exchange for a 2025 fifth-round pick. The Browns immediately awarded Titus Howard on a 3-year, $63 million extension, in which he was going to be a free agent in 2027. His 2026 salary was at $17.9 million as the Texans receive a 2026 fifth-round pick, and Houston takes on a $23.6 million dead cap, and this also frees up $4.2 million of cap space. Another questionable move by the Houston Texans. Now, they did something similar last offseason when they traded away their best offensive lineman at the time in Laramie Tunsil to the Washington Commanders. And I think Tunsil could have been very valuable to the Texans last year, but they did get a nice return. It's a top 10 pick in the second round this year for Laramie Tunsil. They were able to draft Ariante Ursary in a trade down last year as well in the NFL draft. But Titus Howard last year was a big-time starter for them and has been over the last 2 years. He can play tackle or guard for you. He can pretty much play any position on the offensive line outside of center. He's even played left guard. He's played right tackle in his career. And when you're looking at this Texans offensive line, it's definitely questionable. Maybe they believe in Blake Fisher and Ariante Ursary as the tackles. They had Jake Andrews as their center last year, Jared Patterson as an interior offensive lineman, and Howard is 29 years old. They definitely felt a little bit skeptical about giving him this contract extension that Cleveland did offer him, because Cleveland had everybody on that offensive line hitting free agency. So Titus Howard makes the most sense to go after. Howard might be either overrated or underrated to some eyes. I would probably lean more towards overrated, as he wasn't perfect for the Houston
Leonard
Texans
Dickerson
last
do
year,
it.
and he was graded out well below average in pass block win rate and
Okay, who
run
else?
block win rate. And we're going to have to wait and see
And we
what
got
Houston
that one
does
dude.
with
I
the
think he's like
offensive line
78.
this offseason. I think
He
they're
was a
going to take an
backup for my
offensive
boy
lineman in the first round
Lane
at
Johnson.
28. I'd pick 38 as well. They can definitely
Pryor,
target
Matt
guys
Pryor, I
like
think
Caden
maybe.
Proctor, Caleb Lomu. They can also look
I
at a
think that's
Blake
about
Miller
it.
from Clemson. Maybe they can look at an Emmanuel
I
Pregnon
don't know
from
the whole.
Oregon. They can look at a Chase Basantis from Texas A&M. There's definitely
Wish they
some
had
guys
it.
they could target
We
with
do
their
need
late
some more
first
like O
rounder
linemen,
or
bro.
early
I
second.
feel like the Eagles should really just get some O linemen, maybe another receiver, and a DB. That's really all we need from the draft. Yeah, that should be good. There's another DB. Uh, we already got second linebacker, solid defensive line. Um, if we don't get the Phillips dude back, maybe get a defensive end, like a young defensive end. But just a receiver too, and offensive line. So offensive line, receiver, maybe an end, and a DB.
Rounder
That's
from
it.
Washington
That's really all we
from
need.
that
We don't
Laremy
need anything
Tunsil
else.
trade. For Cleveland, I'm going to give this a B-, and for Houston, I'm going to give this a C. It does feel like maybe they sold high on Titus Howard. I know a 5th-round pick isn't the greatest return in the world, but they did avoid that contract extension. They were going to have to pay Titus Howard. Maybe they feel like his play is really declining, and Cleveland was definitely desperate to add any type of offensive lineman. But I do like this for Cleveland going forward. I'm glad
so I
they
think he
get a
just showed like regular plays in his zone.
veteran out there under Todd
He just
Monken's
showed-
system. So yeah, Cleveland's gonna get a B- for me. Houston's gonna get a C. Houston's trade
I don't
grades
know
from
any
this deal
of
and the David
Browns
Montgomery
offensive
deal are
linemen,
definitely
bro. I'm gonna
tentative
be
because
honest.
if they do hit on these draft picks, I could bump these up
They might have a
retroactively.
decent
I just feel
center,
like it's a little bit questionable to go for a running back in a trade market and give up a 4th-round pick for maybe not a premier running back by any means. And then you trade away maybe your most reliable offensive lineman in the same offseason when you already had running concerns and offensive line concerns last year. I'm really fascinated to see what Houston does on the night of the 2026 draft. And then lastly, we had a 1-for-1 trade in terms of defensive lineman. Former 1st-rounder Jermaine Johnson, who is going to be a free agent in 2027, gets traded from the Jets to the Tennessee Titans in exchange for Trevondre Sweat, who's making a lot less than Jermaine Johnson right now and is under contract for 2026 and 2027. Jermaine Johnson's going to be making $13.4 million in 2026, and Trevondre Sweat's going to be making $1.6 million guaranteed and just $471,000. Sweat's going to be making $1.6 million guaranteed and just $471,000 guaranteed of his $2.1 million salary in 2027. The Jets free up $11.7 million of cap, while the Tennessee Titans add $12.6 million. And I do like this deal for both teams. It's a rare 1-for-1 same position type trade. I know Jermaine Johnson's an edge rusher and Trevondre Sweat's a defensive tackle, but they're both on that defensive line. Jermaine Johnson definitely showed out at different times for the Jets over his 3-year career. He only played 3 games in 2024 due to an Achilles injury, and the advanced stats have not been kind to Jermaine Johnson in his 4-year career. His career pass rush win rate is only 8.4%. It was 8.9% last season, while the average for a starting edge in that span is 15.6%. Trevondre Sweat was a 2024 2nd-round pick and has been a solid nose tackle for the Tennessee Titans in his young NFL career. The Jets traded away their top nose tackle at the 2025 trade deadline, sending off Quinnen Williams to the Dallas Cowboys for a very nice haul. Sweat had a 6.5% pass rush win rate, and he should definitely help out the Jets' lackluster run defense, especially what it was after the deadline last year. The Jets are still trying to see what they can get out of Will McDonald next year, who was a former 1st-round pick, and I just don't think they were going to ever extend Jermaine Johnson. It's kind of crazy that Darren Muji is just getting out all these 2023 1st-rounders. Sauce Gardner traded to the Colts and Jermaine Johnson to the Titans. They're obviously keeping on Garrett Wilson for the long run. They did give Breece Hall the franchise tag this offseason as well. They're going to work out on some type of extension. And I'm going to be pretty positive to both these teams. The Jets are going to get an A. They get much cheaper and possibly better in this deal. And the Titans are going to get a B. They definitely needed any type of edge rusher help on that defensive line with Jeffrey Simmons. And now we get further removed from Jermaine Johnson's Achilles tear. Maybe he could look a little bit better in 2026 under Robert Saleh, who's now the head coach in Tennessee, who was the head coach for the Jets when they drafted Jermaine Johnson as well. So I'm going to go A for New York, B for Tennessee. The Titans will still have a ton of cap space to use this offseason, and the Jets get cheaper here, get more cap space, and possibly better as well. I like this trade a lot for the Jets. So as I was about to upload this video, only 2 nights with his old offensive line, got somewhat of a blockbuster trade here in the NFL. The Buffalo Bills have acquired DJ Moore from the Chicago Bears. DJ Moore reunites with his old offensive coordinator in Carolina in Joe Brady, who is now the new head coach of the Buffalo Bills. And I was really curious to see what the details from
So
this
what's the
trade were
next one?
going to be, and it's actually kind of shocking. So the Buffalo Bills are
Oh,
getting
the
DJ
Bills.
Moore and a 5th rounder in the 2026 draft.
But I heard that like the Eagles might be getting Keon Coleman, bro. But this one to the Bills, yeah, they're
While
stacked.
the Chicago Bears are getting a
And then they're
second
also gonna have
rounder,
what's
the
it called?
Bills' second rounder in the 2026
Why
NFL
the fuck
draft.
did
So
they
they're going to
trade him?
get a
Are
very
they
nice
stupid?
selection here for DJ Moore in the second round. That pick is
Man,
coming in
fuck the
at
second
number
round. You
60,
just
which now
traded
gives Chicago an
this dude literally had the touchdown of the year, and you traded him for a second round pick.
extra second round pick. Who knows if they're going to select somebody with that second round pick? They may
I think they're
use
gonna
that in
select someone.
ammo for a Max Crosby trade. I thought DJ Moore could have been in that Max Crosby trade. That was a
Almost some
trade
damn
idea I
Max
had on
Crosby.
this channel a couple
Bro,
videos ago, but maybe they still decide to
they
go after
traded my
Max
boy
Crosby with this pick. Clearly, they feel comfortable
DJ
with
Moore, bro.
Luther Burden, Roma Dunze, and Colston Loveland as the main pass catchers there. They're definitely going to have to add another wide receiver this offseason because it's basically just those two guys there. Maybe they look to draft
So
somebody
you
in
mean
the
to
second
tell me you
round. It
just
could
traded
be a Malachi Fields. It
this
could be a
motherfucker
Zachariah Branch, a Chris Bell, Elijah Surratt, or maybe they
with a
just look
branch
to
dude?
promote Olamide Zaccheaus as the wide receiver 3 because I thought
Zaccheaus dude as a
he did a fine job in
over
that role
DJ Moore,
last year.
bro.
It all
Are we
made
dead ass
sense
serious right now?
for Chicago to trade away DJ Moore with them in
Y'all traded away y'all best receiver for who? What he just said? The Zaccheaus dude, the Dunze dude, and who was the other dude? And the dude that be doing the shuffle slides and shit. And he doesn't even have that many touchdowns. The
investing
Luther
in
Burden dude?
round 1 and round 2 picks
What is
on a
his name is?
Dunze and Burden. They're just so
I
much
know.
cheaper and
Now
could
that
be
they have
just
another
as
receiver.
productive going
No, what's
forward.
it?
And the Bills
One
are
of them
going to
niggas just do
process a
shuffle slides. I
full
don't know who
salary
it is.
conversion
I think
on
his number
DJ
like
Moore's contract upon acquiring him, which is going to
I
lower
don't
his
know.
cap hit
But
from
the point is,
$6.75 million
you
in
shouldn't have traded
2026,
this.
and it's actually going to create $17 million in cap space. Pays a
That's
kind of
you-
expensive
that's all I
price
have to
here
say to
because
you, bro.
DJ Moore is making $24 million in 2026, $23 million is guaranteed. Then it's got
Now
$24
you
million
play on the
in
Bills
2027, $24
with
million in
Keon Coleman,
2028, and $24 million
Mark.
in
Wait, who else?
2029.
Is it
DJ
Mark?
Moore is going to be 28 years old next year. When the Bills
No.
acquired Stephon Diggs back in 2020, Diggs
Well, I
was
mean,
going
they
into
did
his
win because they did. I did remember that they did trade for the Diggs dude. So now they
age
got
27
another
season, so
good
Moore is a
receiver.
little bit older. Moore is coming off maybe the worst statistical season of his career. He's been healthy ever since 2021. He has played 17 games a season, and Buffalo was looking for somebody of
Damn.
that caliber. He peaked in Chicago with 1,300 yards in
I mean, that's not
2023
really
and had
like.
three
I'm not trying to like be like that, but that's not guaranteed that he'll play that many games
straight
this season.
1,000-yard seasons from
If we're being real.
2019 to 2021
So if they
in
trade him just
Carolina.
for that,
Buffalo
then
was
that's
going to be
kind of
rumored to A.J. Brown maybe this offseason.
wait,
That
whoa.
2021 in Carolina. Buffalo was going to be rumored to A.J. Brown
Yeah, they did say they were going to get for. I didn't want to say it, but they said that they were supposed to trade AJ Brown for Keon Coleman.
maybe this offseason. That definitely eliminates them from those sweepstakes. And DJ Moore is probably going to be their true wide receiver 1 next year. They just
What
paid the
about Keon
price
Coleman?
tag of that. I'm sure Howie Roseman is maybe happy with how this trade ended up because the Bears were able to get a round 2 pick for DJ Moore and a 5th rounder. And
Are the
Moore
Eagles
is not
happy?
as good as AJ Brown. He's maybe just as expensive as AJ Brown. So if the Eagles were actually going to trade away AJ Brown this offseason, they were
But they're not
definitely
gonna do
getting a
that.
1st round pick
Don't be a
or
dumb.
close to it in any way, shape, or form.
It's just crazy how
I
they
really
traded
like this
these
trade
people.
for Chicago. I'm giving them an A for this deal.
You give him
I
an
thought
A?
it made sense to trade away DJ Moore this offseason, allocate some of the
fuck you
savings
mean it
there
made
to the
sense?
defensive line, maybe the offensive
Yeah, the
line
Bears are
now
gonna be some
with
ass.
Drew Dolman retiring, and really try to maximize
Ooh.
this roster with Caleb Williams under his rookie contract. So they're getting
Man,
an
they do
A
got
for
some
me.
decent
I love them
receivers.
getting this 2nd round pick. Like I said, they could target a
But,
receiver, they could target somebody on the defensive line.
I mean,
or
all
offensive
these people are doing all these trades and shit, wasting all their money just to lose anyway. So it really doesn't matter because it's going to lose to the Eagles. So
line, or
I mean,
use it in a Max
it
Crosby
really
trade or
doesn't
something
matter,
like that
for being
if they
real.
wanted to.
But
And
it's
for
like
Buffalo,
still.
I'm going to give them a B- in this trade. I really like DJ Moore still. I think he can operate as a wide receiver 1 for Buffalo next year. It was
What
kind
about
of like
Keon
all
Coleman?
evenly distributed in Chicago, and he really couldn't emerge as that wide receiver 1. He was for the Bears back in 2023 with Justin Fields. So I do think Buffalo was getting a really good receiver here in DJ Moore. It's just an expensive
saying,
contract. And they gave up a 2nd round pick as well. I wonder if that was the end all be all in this trade. Maybe they could have gotten somebody for a
No,
little
I
bit
feel like that's not
cheaper
that bad.
than DJ Moore going forward. It's definitely risky. I think Brandon Beane is maybe making some moves like his job is
Brandon
on the
who?
line. I know he got extended this offseason, but if you fire Sean McDermott, you promote Joe Brady, I
Oh.
think you didn't really get as much
Ooh.
criticism as you probably should have. Who knows? If the Bills underperform next
He
year,
got injured?
Beane could be on the hot seat. So we wanted to get ahead of that and go out and get a premier target for Buffalo, and maybe just
Oh.
AJ Brown was
Oh.
too expensive. So yeah, I'm a little skeptical
But
about this
nobody's getting
trade just
AJ
because
Brown,
we
bro.
haven't
Don't
seen
be
DJ
dumb.
Moore as like a true wide
You should have
receiver
come back
one
left though.
since
That's what I would do.
2023 when he was 26 years old. He's played through some injuries though, and he started all
Just sweeping
17
the
games
smog.
for the last 5 years, which is definitely
Easy.
an impressive feat for the former Maryland Terp. And hey, maybe he's Stephon Diggs
I hope the Eagles
2.0.
change their
Both of them get
playbook up,
traded in their
bro.
late
I know they
20s, kind
gas
of late
playbook,
20s,
bro.
and they're both from Maryland. And yeah, that Bryce Young trade up that Carolina gave all those picks and DJ Moore to Chicago keeps on giving as they got
I
DJ
forgot
Moore
he
for
was on
3
the
years,
Panthers.
and then they were able to flip DJ Moore for a second rounder, move up 3 rounds in the 2026 draft. So yeah, the NFL trade offseason, the stove is hot, moves are going down. So that is gonna be it for me. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, I would
My
appreciate you
back is
dropping a
hurting,
thumbs up.
man.
Let me know what you guys think about.
And shout out these niggas, man. Let's do a prayer for these little players, though, man. But just hope all these players be able to, hope all these players be able to have a great season. Just make their dreams come true. Keep striving every day, and just make you proud, Lord. But we love you, Lord. Let them all stay safe and healthy throughout the season, and have their breakout season, and just overall enjoy their life. We love you, Lord. We're nothing without you. In Jesus' name, we love you. In Jesus' name. Oh yeah, man. Jesus loves y'all. Y'all stay safe, man. One more video today. Peace.